Good afternoon, Jeff. Hello, how are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing, Nuria?
I'm doing great, thank you. So happy to that you're here with us. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your current situation?
Well, like my name is Jeff Makana. I'm a human rights activist from Kenya, and my background is working on lobbying the parliaments in our countries to domesticate the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Wow, wow. Okay, so tell me about that work. How did you start? How did you become interested in doing this type of work? Tell us your experience.
Well, uh, there. I think I'm sorry that I'm moving a
It's
little
okay.
bit. Yes. Well, I got involved in the movement from America,
Uh-huh.
where I learned about the user and survivors of psychiatry movement, and I read a little bit about it, and I got involved from the United States.
Uh-huh.
And when I decided to go back to Kenya, I wanted to go. Initially, I'd wanted to do volunteer work somewhere in Africa or India or any place, and I'd wanted to take a sabbatical from the company that I was working for in America. But I couldn't take a sabbatical because you have to work for the company for 5 years. I'd worked for this company for 2 years, so I quit the job. And before I embarked on going back to Kenya, I had a small job that I was doing in New York, working in the new media technologies as an editor for a group called Robin Good University. And pretty much what they teach is how to use new media technologies like Facebook, Twitter, and other new media, social media
Uh-huh.
technologies to 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 improve or to do activism on the internet.
Wow, wow.
Mhm.
That's very good. And how do you have an organization? Tell us how you help. What are the things that you do to voice your opinion and help others?
Well, when I was in Kenya, I had an affiliated organization called Mind Freedom Kenya.
Uh-huh.
And with this organization, I was able to lobby parliamentarians and also build capacity with other disability organizations and community-based organizations in Kenya to understand the issues of disability in Kenya and how the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities was being domesticated and how it was working in Kenya.
Wow, wow. And right now, where are you right now? Are you living outside of the United States?
Right now, I live. Sorry, I, right now I live in Switzerland. I've been living in Switzerland since 2010. I
Uh-huh.
was in. I'd been invited to come to Switzerland as a human rights activist to attend a United Nations workshop in Geneva that was giving a workshop to activists and community-based organizations and other organizations, NGOs, working on learning how to use the United Nations mechanisms called the Universal Periodic Review. And during this Universal Periodic Reviews, state parties come to the Geneva and they are reviewed. There are organizations like my organization, the ones that I was working with. We give reports which are called shadow reports, and these reports show the actual things which are happening on the ground that have to do with human rights for persons with disabilities. And
Wow.
but what had happened to me is before I came to Geneva, I'd been invited, and while I was working through getting my visa, as you understand, coming to Switzerland is a very complicated process also. you have to apply for a visa, and this visa has to be approved from Ben. And shortly before I could come to Switzerland, even before my visa was approved, I was arrested by the Kenyan police and taken to police station for 3 days, where I was tortured. I was beaten um and tortured by the police. And when I came to Geneva, I had a lot of injuries, and the people that I consulted with in Geneva, some human rights lawyers and an organization in Geneva, they advised me, because of my situation at that particular moment, I needed safety, and they advised me to apply for asylum in Switzerland. And I've been going through that process. Initially, uh, for 3 years, I waited for them to even take a decision, but I was given a negative decision, which I don't understand, because as somebody who was already invited to Switzerland as a human rights activist, and my work in Kenya was already known, not very extensively, but they must have had an understanding for them to approve my visa to come to Switzerland as an activist. And that took 3 years,
Wow.
about 3 years, to give me a decision. And during those moments, you understand, you get what they call the letterbox syndrome, where every day you're checking your mailbox to see if you've gotten a decision, what's going to happen to you. But the good thing that I can say about Switzerland is that despite them rejecting my asylum request, I was granted what they call a humanitarian permit F. And with this permit F, it has provisions that if you get a job and you work a job within 1 year, then you can apply for a residency permit. But there are complications also with this permit. To understand immigration laws in Switzerland is also complicated, because in immigration law they don't provide you with what we call legal aid,
Right.
and because of this, the permit F has some administrative barriers. For instance, employers would rather hire somebody from the European Union or hire somebody from Switzerland, because when they hire somebody like me with a permit F, they have to apply to the canton, to the state, in order for them to have permission for me to work. And
Right.
this administrative process, a lot of companies, they don't like to engage with, because they also have to pay. I was
To
explaining
do this.
about the permit F. So because of this, there's administrative barriers like that, and also getting a job is not easy, because in Switzerland they have a system of competence. They have something called certificate um, federal de competence, and it's a federal certificate which shows that you have a competence in certain skills. This is kind of difficult for me, because I came from America, where we don't have that similar system.
Right.
And though I have extensive experience working in America in different companies, Fortune 500 companies like AT&T, it's difficult for me to find a job. And also there are issues um, of language. Switzerland, they speak 4 languages.
Wow.
To get a job in telecommunications like myself, you have to at least speak 2 languages. If you have to work for a company like, let's say, Swisscom, you need to have 2 languages, either German and French, or German and Italian, or German and French, or German Italian, or French and Italian. So it's not been easy. And when we came here as refugees in 2010, even the system that they had for teaching the language was photocopied papers,
Wow.
and it wasn't sufficient enough. You get 2 hours per week, and this only lasted for about not more than 6 months. It was not very long to learn the language. But then I got an opportunity because as a person who was tortured, I got an opportunity to go to a therapeutic activity or therapeutic establishment in another city called Lausanne, and for 3 years I was involved in different activities like doing photography, trying to explain or tell digital story, tell the invisibilities of immigrants in Switzerland.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. And do you now speak a little bit of French, Italian, or German?
Un peu. I speak a little bit French because I'm in the French-speaking canton, but
Good.
I hear very well the language, and I speak also. I can go out to the grocery store and order, buy tomatoes or groceries in French.
Very.
It's not, but it's not an easy language to learn also when you're an English speaker. It's not like Germanic language. It's not like German. At least German has some. It's a little bit easier for somebody who's English speaking to learn German, and those are some of the things that we learn here in Switzerland, because when you go to the immigration reception centers, they send you to one of the many cantons that they have, any one of the 26 cantons. It's like a lottery.
Wow.
They don't look at factors like where you come from, the language that you speak, or try to put you in a canton where you can learn, let's say, German, which is easier for you because you speak English, or Italian, or something like that. They don't have. It's just a lottery. I don't know. I don't know how it works. They just decide. After you've been there for in the reception center for about 30 days, they send you to another reception center, and then from there they start working on finding housing for you.
Wow, wow. And how did you come across with homeless entrepreneur?
Well, the homeless entrepreneur, I came into contact with Andy because of the WEF, because of the World Economic Forum, and I was as an activist, I spent some time online on Twitter trying to talk about some of these issues that affect us as immigrants or as somebody who has escaped persecution in my country. And
Very.
we started engaging, and yeah, he's been like a mentor. He's very, he's been a very good blessing to me, I can say.
Oh, I'm so glad. And so what are your in the near future, what are your plans for the end of this year and next year? What's your goal to be able to achieve?
Well, my goal is really to look at the long-term strategic um, plan, a long-term strategic plan. I'm interested in social entrepreneurship, and I'm interested in establishing my business. But like I said, there are limitations to that too. When you have a permit F, you cannot apply for alliances to establish a business. And yeah, those are some of the challenges uh, that are there for people that have this kind of permit F, or people who have not been accepted, or not had their asylum cases decided.
Right, right. So in your day to day, what do you do? Are you studying? Are you working? What's your day to day like to be able to achieve these goals?
Well, my day-to-day activities depend, because like somebody who curates the human rights news in real time, I have to spend a lot of times working online, looking for this kind of information, reading different kind of sites about human rights issues, and trying to disseminate this information to the public, um, as a form of civic engagement.
Right, right. That's wonderful. I love your story. I think it's so you're doing such a great. You're so positive, and you're doing such a great uh, job. And I'm sure you've been through a lot. But I do hope that you do, achieve all your goals and be able to do everything that you've been doing, because I think it's wonderful. It's marvelous what you are doing. And I hope that with Homeless Entrepreneur, they are also able to help you in some way, continue to mentor you and guide you. Is there anything else you'd like to share, or leave us with any last words?
Well, what I can say is integration into society, somewhere where you don't have contacts or where you've never been before. I think the state, which is taking care of you, they should have programs that help people integrate better into community, where we can understand better issues of, let's say, mental health and how the criminalization of mental health. These are some of the issues which I'm very passionate about. Talking about Switzerland ratifying the United Nations Convention, because they signed the convention back in 2005, but they have not ratified the convention. And for them to be really accountable, where we can ask questions, let's say in the United Nations mechanisms, they have to ratify the convention, and that's something that I hope that they can do in the near future.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for taking the time to talking to us today, and I hope that this video that will be shared will come into somebody's eye or ears and are able to maybe help in the matter. Thank you so much, and take good care.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to talk to you, Miria. Say hello to the homeless entrepreneurs, and I wish you guys continued success.
Thank you so much.